Hello everyone. Today I intend to analyze how multimedias affect the 2016 United States presidential election and why echo chambers and filter bubbles influenced the QAnon conspiracy theory, allowing it to go viral both online and offline. The first is the 2016 US presidential election. We can analyze how this example relates to multimedia. During this election, it must be mentioned that false information was widely spread on social media. Russian actors created fake accounts to publish incorrect information to influence the election results. This example demonstrates the significant impact of false information on the democratic process, underscoring the need to understand better how the media is being used to manipulate public opinion. Then, go deep into the core issue of managing the general election with false information. It can even involve the infighting between the two parties and the intention of other countries to interfere in American politics. It can be seen from this that if multimedia is turned into a tool for evil purpose, the entire country can be a potential victim. Second, during the 2016 presidential election, the rate of fake news was too high. Even some survey studies show that as many as 62% of American adults get their news from social media. On Facebook, fake news stories spread more widely than true news stories. Many people who have seen fake news information have indicated that they really believe it, and I think this is because they are just ordinary citizens and lack the ability to prove it. So, in some cases, they choose to accept it under such circumstances. Add to this the fact that most of the fake news stories discussed tend to support Donald Trump, which could bring the conversation back to the question of the infighting between the two parties. Is the Republican Party involved? People have no way of knowing. The frequent appearance of fake news on social software has caused panic across the country, and the information no longer has the credibility it used to have. Fake news originates from several types of websites. For example, some websites have been built solely to print deliberately fabricated and misleading articles. The names of these sites are often similar to those of legitimate news organizations. Articles from other satirical sites may also be construed as fact when taken out of context. Some sites most likely to publish pro-Trump rhetoric during the 2016 presidential election. This type of site will post a mix between some partisan factual articles and some false articles. But fortunately, most websites that provide fake news usually come to an end in a short time, because once someone raises a question, it is only a matter of time to verify and find out the truth. As a result, many fake news sites were shut down before the 2016 election, but even so, as long as some fake news that does not conform to the facts and subverts ordinary people's cognition appears, no matter how long it seems, the consequences will be serious. But in this way, a new problem has arisen. No matter what kind of news they hear, people still have the right to choose not to believe it or wait and say it with skepticism. Although social media is one of the mainstream sources of information. It is not the only source of information for citizens. But why do some people still choose to believe this unverified news? Move on to the next topic: echo chambers and filter bubbles. In 2019, a well-known documentary, The Great Hack, exposed Cambridge Analytica scandal during the 2016 presidential election. It specifically described how a team called Cambridge Analytica collected a large amount of citizen information under the guise of an award-winning questionnaire on Facebook and draw their personality portrait based on citizen information. On this basis, Trump's team began to use this information to post ads promoting Trump or Trump-supported remarks to citizens who they believed were more likely to be confused by the words and to interfere with the vote, making the outcome even more favorable to Trump. Later British investigation concluded that Cambridge Analytica was using the data both from Facebook to monitor voters' personal information and use psychological profiling to manipulate voters' emotional responses on a large scale. They use algorithm to rapidly email people some content, making people's cognition narrowed and their views more and more paranoid. And this is the drawback brought by filter bubbles. Its algorithm is based on big data and algorithm recommendation as an underlying structure. It generates user portraits according to usage time, region, and browsing habits and presence with the user interface experience through algorithm technology. And this will only lead to narrower and narrower browsing intervals for users because they are trapped in the echo chambers they have created for themselves. Uh, because the voters are constantly receiving information about it, like emails about supporting Trump or something else, their thoughts are limited because it's not up to them to decide what type of videos they are going to receive. In this way, they are bound in the echo chamber, constantly browsing similar information, unknowingly losing their discernment, and begin to believe that these distorted facts are the truth. And that's why the political divide between Democrats and Republicans reached a 20-year high in 2017. This is how filter bubbles subtly affect the political polarization. Why the QAnon conspiracy theory can spread among the population and what has been learned about echo chambers and filter bubbles, it should be no surprise that the QAnon conspiracy theory has become widespread among the population. First of all, most of the supporters of the QAnon conspiracy theory are Trump supporters. These supporters overlap with the voters previously affected by the echo chambers and filter bubbles. They are the victims of being confused by a large amount of information, so they cannot view the issue objectively and comprehensively. Whether the QAnon conspiracy theory is true is unknown, but if it spawns civil terrorism, it would be harmful. The German government mentioned in the Wall Street Journal that they claimed at the end of 2022 that they had dismantled a terrorist organization inspired by the QAnon conspiracy theory, trying to overthrow the government. Furthermore, The actions of the extreme followers of the QAnon conspiracy theory are almost all about Trump's re-election, which shows that the initiator of the conspiracy theory is likely to be an insider of the Trump team or just a Trump supporter. They first amassed a large number of supporters and then declared the existence of conspiracy theories on social media. Its core purpose is to maintain Trump's status. A summary is that the initiators of the conspiracy theory first accumulated supporters by creating filter bubbles and echo chambers, then depend on this basis to use the conspiracy theory to set off an uproar in the political circle of the United States. After looking at these examples of being misguided caused by artificially created filter bubbles, it is not difficult to see that the root of all problems is unintentional disclosure of personal information on the internet or social media. Knowing that even a website like Facebook may not be absolutely safe, how should people protect their privacy? First of all, there is no free lunch in the world, and any personal information is very likely to be used by others. Even if mainstream social media can customize privacy settings for their online space, it doesn't mean it's absolutely safe. It is still necessary to be wary of questionnaires and emails asking for any personal information from unknown sources to ensure that personal rights are not infringed. So in real life, how to protect the privacy? Mobile phones and tablets should not use almost zero encrypted public Wi-Fi casually, and at the same time do not scan QR code from unknown sources with mobile phones, and do not download, install, and use program software from unknown sources. Use security software to close the privacy permissions of various programs to access the address book and obtain call records. Everyone knows the allusion to the Trojan horse. The virus will put on a harmless disguise to invade people's lives. In order not to be stripped of identity information in the current era, netizens can only take precaution before it happens. People are constantly updating what they say and hear, trying to keep up with the tide of the digital era. Some of them are gradually lost in the ocean of information, surrounded by a large amount of fragmented data, and have no time to estimate the authenticity of the information. Netizens with no awareness of prevention are exploited by people with ulterior motives. If they accidentally leak a little personal data, they will receive many SMS bombardments and anonymous phone calls. In times like this, multimedia is undoubtedly a double-edged sword. In the right hands, it will bring great convenience to people's life and promote the development of science and technology. And a small number of people manipulate social media to create public opinion and gimmicks to sensationalize the public or publish false information to confuse others to achieve their own goals. On the other hand, if you don't maintain a critical thinking mode to look at each article, anyone may lose themselves in browsing and gradually lose their ability to discern. Therefore, how to look at things with a critical eye. Always be alert to any unproven conspiracy theories and how protect personal privacy have almost become a compulsory courses for everyone in today's society. Don't be dominated by multimedia, but make good use of multimedia and make it a tool to enhance the convenience of life.